5 forgotten Cantonese dishes that vanished from the table. You think Cantonese food begins and ends with hargao, siu mai, and beef chow fun? Think again. Some flavors, once the crown jewels of old tea houses, the pride of grandma's stove, the last-minute grab at the wet market before closing, have faded like old photographs left too long in the sun. Not because they weren't good enough, but because we walked too fast and forgot to look back. The 5 dishes below are taste codes passed down through generations of Cantonese families. They haven't vanished completely, but you'll rarely find them on an ordinary dinner table anymore. Some younger folks have never even heard the names. Let me walk you down the memory lane of an old Cantonese eatery and set these fading aromas back on the table, right where they belong. Coin chicken, the hidden menu at the roast meat stall. You thought coin chicken was made of chicken? Dead wrong. This star of 1950s and 60s Hong Kong roast meat shops didn't contain a single shred of poultry. It was a skewer of 3 things: a slice of fatty pork, a piece of chicken liver, and a slice of lean pork, stacked together, brushed with maltose barbecue sauce, and hung over charcoal until the edges caramelized and dripped with rendered fat. Slice it open crosswise, and the 3 layers aligned like an old copper coin. That's where the name came from. At the old-school roast meat stall, coin chicken was the kind of thing that sold out by 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The master would hang the skewers inside a charcoal oven. Fat hit the embers and hissed, and the whole street filled with that sweet, scorched aroma. You'd bring it home, slice it thick. The fat turned amber translucent. The liver was powdery and rich. The lean pork had a charred edge. One bite, and 3 textures melted together in your mouth. It was the working class's luxury afternoon snack. A slab of coin chicken on a bowl of plain rice, and you were treated like royalty. Why is it so hard to find now? Life sped up. Nobody has the time to skewer, watch the fire, and wait for a charcoal oven to do its slow work. Fast food roast shops replaced hand-skewered meats with standardized char siu and roast pork belly. The combination of fatty pork and chicken liver got labeled too greasy and unhealthy. And here's the real loss. Coin chicken needs an old charcoal oven and a master who knows exactly when to pull it. One moment too long and the fat won't melt, or worse, the liver turns bitter. The skill faded, and the old roast stalls closed one by one. Next time you pass an old neighborhood, look through the glass of a roast shop. If you spot those 3-layer rounds still hanging there, buy a piece. It's a love letter from charcoal to a bygone age. Clay pot baked fish intestines, bittersweet home cooking. You think fish intestines are scraps? In the hands of an old Cantonese housewife, they could rise to the altar table. Fish intestines. The innards of grass carp or mud carp, with the bitter gallbladder and all the oil clinging to them, were a nightmare to clean. But in the 1960s and 70s, a family had to eat every part of a fish, from flesh to bone. Throwing away the intestines was unthinkable. So they invented clay pot baked fish intestines. The labor was real. Snip the intestines open, scrub them clean, rub salt and cornstarch to scrape off the slime, remove the bitter gallbladder, cut them into sections, then mix with beaten egg, shredded dried tangerine peel, pieces of fried dough stick, and white pepper. All of it went into a clay pot and baked until the top blistered golden and the inside set into a silky custard. Out of the oven, the scent of egg and fish oil mingled with the citrus lift of tangerine peel. Scoop it with a spoon, the bitterness had transformed into a deep, savory umami. It carried rice like nothing else. The scene was always the evening kitchen. Grandma squatted by the stove, scrubbing intestines. Kids ran off, holding their noses from the fishy smell. But once it was baked, the whole family crowded around the pot, fighting for spoonfuls. That was an era of scarcity, and people turned humble offcuts into magic through patience alone. Why did it vanish from the dinner table? First, today you can ask the fishmonger to clean your fish, and the intestines get tossed without a second thought. Second, cleaning them takes forever, and dual-income families don't have that kind of time. And third, the younger generation's tolerance for offal has collapsed. They call it fishy and unhygienic. You can still find this dish at a few old-school Shunde-style restaurants, but it's now a reservation-only nostalgia item, not everyday food. If you ever get the chance to try it, don't let its humble origins scare you away. That bitterness, turning sweet on the finish, is the wisdom of old-time housewives. Daliang stir-fried milk, a silky kung fu dish. You thought stir-fried milk was dessert? It was a test piece for Shunde chefs. Daliang stir-fried milk uses fresh buffalo milk, egg whites, and cornstarch. In a warm, oiled wok, you push the mixture with gentle, steady force until it coagulates into a cloud. Snow white, trembling, piled atop crispy fried olive kernels and minced ham. It slides on the tongue like silken tofu, but the milk flavor is so rich it won't let go. Savory and sweet at the same time, it's a hot meat accompanying dish that demands absolute control of fire and patience. In the 1950s and 60s, this dish was common in Guangzhou and Hong Kong banquet halls. It was a face dish, the kind that showed off the chef's credentials. The wok couldn't be too hot, or the milk would seize and turn grainy. The hands couldn't stop moving, or it would stick and burn. The finished milk had to quiver like young tofu, the surface glossy and free of oil. When it hit the table, diners would dip in with a spoon, and the milk fragrance burst out, the crunch of olive kernels playing against the silk. The texture contrast was exquisite. Why is it rare now? Buffalo milk is hard to source. Regular cow's milk lacks the protein structure and weeps water under heat. And the dish is too demanding. Modern kitchens chase efficiency and standardization, and few chefs want to train for something this thankless. Plus, diners' palates have drifted toward aggressive flavors. This quiet, elegant thing got left behind. Occasionally, you can still find it in old Shunde restaurants, but most have simplified it into deep-fried milk, a crowd-pleasing finger food. The real stir-fried milk? That's silky old time itself. Duck feet bundle, the supporting role at yumcha. You thought a duck feet bundle was just bean curd skin wrapped around duck feet? It's a miniature barbecue platter. In old tea houses, the duck feet bundle was a regular on the dim sum cart. Bean curd skin wrapped around a braised duck foot, a chunk of taro, a slice of shiitake mushroom, and a short length of lapchang sausage. Tied tight with a blanched chive, the whole bundle went into the steamer until the skin soaked up all the juices. Bite through the wrapper, and the duck foot fell off the bone. The taro was powdery. The lapchang's fat had seeped into the mushroom, and you got salty, sweet, creamy, and silky in one mouthful. In the Hong Kong tea houses of the 60s and 70s, doors opened at 5 in the morning. Dock workers, hawkers, and old neighbors ordered a pot of pu'er, grabbed a basket of duck feet bundles, and slowly peeled them apart. It was a working person's morning ritual. The bundle wasn't expensive, but the handwork was endless. The duck feet had to be braised until tender, the bean curd skin laid flat, the chive tied with even pressure, the steaming time exact. Too long and the wrapper would disintegrate. Why is it vanishing? Tea houses, chasing table turnover and margins, have quietly phased out matchalan. Labor-intensive dim sum. Most now use frozen, factory-packaged products. Duck feet bundles, with their complex workflow and thin profits, naturally lost out to hargao and simai, items built for standardization. Even when you find one now, it's often stripped down. missing the taro and lapchong, just a duck foot and some bean curd skin. The soul has already left. Next time you're in an old-style tea house and spot a duck feet bundle rolling by on the cart, grab a basket. That's the old-school morning tea, tied together by a dim sum master's patience. Lard tossed rice, the simplest luxury. You thought lard tossed rice was poor people's food? It was the most direct hit of happiness that era could deliver. A steaming bowl of white rice. Bury a spoonful of snowy lard in the center. Drizzle a few drops of top-grade soy sauce. Scatter a handful of chopped scallions. Mix it all while it's hot. The lard melts and coats every grain until the rice gleams. The salty, savory soy and the green lift of scallion crash together. Absurdly simple and absurdly fragrant. In the 1950s and 60s, lard was a treasure in the kitchen. The cracklings left after rendering, sprinkle a little salt on them, and kids would eat them like candy. Lard-tossed rice was the late-night snack of many Cantonese childhoods. Hungry late at night, Mom would take leftover rice from the cupboard, spoon in some lard, heat it up, stir, and the whole kitchen filled with that rich animal scent. There were no dizzying late-night options back then. A bowl of lard-tossed rice was comfort enough. Why did it recede from daily life? Changing health beliefs mostly. Lard got tagged with high cholesterol and unhealthy, and vegetable oil swept it off the shelf. Life got more affluent, and late-night snacks multiplied beyond counting. Nobody thought about this humble bowl of rice anymore. Nostalgia restaurants sometimes offer it, but they usually substitute scallion oil, missing that aggressive, primal aroma of pork fat. Truth is, eating lard-tossed rice once in a while won't hurt you. It reminds us that happiness was once just a spoonful of lard and a bowl of hot rice. These 5 dishes, none of them are delicacies of the mountains and seas, but they string together the daily lives of generations of Cantonese people. The charcoal glow of the roast stall, the clay pot in the kitchen, the dim sum cart rolling between tables, the clink of bowls late at night. They weren't eliminated. They were simply left behind by the speed of our feet. Do you remember the dish only your grandmother used to make when you were small? It might not even have a name, but the taste is still anchored on the root of your tongue. If you get the chance, go look for these old dishes before they become nothing but specimens on a recipe page, before nobody remembers how.